Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Saturday evening, March 8, 2025. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season. That's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please ensure that you all utilize the progress bar that's located at the bottom of the video, as well as the timestamps that are located not only in the comment section but the video description, so that you can skip to the points in the video that you want to see the most in order to save time, because we know that the videos over here with the Jamaica can be very long. Leave a comment down below letting me know what did that's black in your year recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so we're going to be looking at what the next 7 days have in store for us according to the latest Euro and GFS supercomputer model runs that came out today. So keep your eyes focused on the timestamp right here as we go to the next 168 hours, that's the next 7 days. Keep your eyes focused on Jamaica right here as we look for all of this that we see on the key on the right. That's the reds, the oranges, the yellows, and the greens that represent inches of rainfall. So let's see what's going to be taking place. As we head into Sunday morning, what do we see? We see some dots of green surrounding the island, so maybe some isolated showers out to sea. And then by Sunday afternoon, we see some greens across sections of the western end of the island. Let's see what the GFS is showing for the same time period. Sunday morning, we see the greens represent rainfall across eastern and southern areas. Then Sunday afternoon, we see that rainfall across western parishes. Very interesting. That's what Monday is showing us. We see that Monday morning has some moisture surrounding the island. Monday afternoon has some isolated showers across northern and western parishes on the Euro. GFS shows that on Monday morning we see moisture to the north of us. And then Monday afternoon we see some isolated showers across the western end. Tuesday morning, let's see what's going to be taking place. We see moisture associated with that frontal system of the east coast of the US, extending down to portion of the Bahamas, central Cuba, the western Caribbean, including the Cayman Islands, Belize, and Honduras. We also see some moisture to the north of Jamaica. Then by Tuesday afternoon, we've been talking about this. By the end of the day on Tuesday, we see moisture across sections of some central and western parishes. It's what the GFS is showing. Tuesday morning, first of all, we see moisture to the south of us, to the east of us, to the northwest of us. Then by Tuesday afternoon, we see rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. Let's see what's going to be taking place on Wednesday. Wednesday morning, we see the line of showers associated with that frontal system extending from the northern portion of North Atlantic all the way down to portion of Hispaniola, Jamaica, especially northeastern Jamaica, all the way down to portions of Central America. Then by the end of the day on Wednesday, we see moisture associated with rainfall from the same frontal system across eastern, central, and western parishes. Just match that latest Euro to the latest GFS. Wednesday morning, moisture from the frontal system extending down into portion of Jamaica. Wednesday afternoon, we see that rainfall across eastern, central, and western parishes. Let's see what's going to be taking place on Thursday morning. We see some amount of moisture to the south of us, to the east of us. Then by Thursday afternoon, we see rainfall across central and western parishes. To see the latest GFS. Thursday morning, we see rainfall on the south coast, on the northeast coast. Then by Thursday afternoon, we see rainfall across the eastern, central, and western parishes. Once again, we have consensus. Then by Friday morning, what do we see? We see the moisture associated with the leftovers of the frontal system extending down to portion of Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, to the south of Hispaniola, some isolated shores to the north and south of the island. And by the end of the day on Friday, we see some rainfall across eastern, maybe sections of some central and western parishes too. Let's see what the GFS is showing. We see the moisture that we mentioned, and it is definitely encompassing the entirety of Hispaniola, Haiti, Dominican Republic, into portion of eastern Jamaica by Friday morning. Then by Friday afternoon, we see rainfall across sections of some south central parishes. Very interesting. Lastly, let us look at the end of the 168 hours. So this is valid for 7 a.m. on Saturday, March 15. We can still see the moisture associated with the system extending down the portion of Puerto Rico, eastern portion of the Dominican Republic, to the south of Hispaniola, to the south of Jamaica for the most part. Let us see if we have the consensus on the GFS. We definitely see it right here. Some moisture to the south of us, to the north of us. Then by the end of the 168 hours, this is what we're seeing. So definitely going to be an active week from Tuesday all the way back to Friday in terms of the afternoon rainfall. And we can see the accumulated precipitation forecast maps confirming this. Both maps here from the year and the GFS showing all the rainfall that's expected all the way from now up until Saturday, March 15. And we can see that the most rainfall over the next 7 days should be where we have the dark reds into the purples into the pinks, like Colombia, section of southern and eastern Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, and French Guyana. And we know the dark reds, purples into the pinks represents anywhere from 2 to 3 all the way up to 5 inches of rainfall, while the greens into the yellows, oranges, and slight reds represent anywhere from 0.2 of an inch of rainfall all the way up to an inch of rainfall. And we're talking about that for sections of the Dominican Republic, sections of the Eastern Caribbean, so Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados. We also see a lot of moisture right here across the northern portion of the Caribbean, including the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Martin, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda. And we also see some moisture across the Yucatan, including Belize, Guatemala, sections of Honduras. We also see some rainfall across sections of southern El Salvador, eastern Nicaragua, sections of Costa Rica and Panama. Definitely going to be getting in on some of that rainfall. And we can clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in agreement with this forecast. I know that when both maps are showing the same thing, the chances are higher for it to actually take place. But we're going to be switching gears and focusing our attention a bit on Jamaica in terms of our total accumulated precipitation from now all the way up until 7 a.m. on Saturday, March 15. We can see all the blues into the greens. That represents anywhere from 2 millimeters of rainfall all the way up to 32 millimeters of rainfall, especially for eastern Jamaica, is what the Euro is showing. GFS a bit more reserved. Yesterday, remember, it was showing a lot of yellows. Now it's definitely changed, showing more greens. That represents anywhere from 2 millimeters all the way up to maybe 30 millimeters of rainfall. And we can see that extending from the eastern portions to mainly the central portions of the island. We'll see how it actually goes, and I'll definitely be here to keep you posted with what occurs. Taking a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, you can see a ridge of high pressure right here to the north of Hispaniola, another ridge of high pressure right here to the northwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. And we know these ridges of high pressure are responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. We can see a frontal system across the southern and eastern US. To the east of the frontal system is a trough right there. To the east of Florida, extending all the way up into the northern portion of North Atlantic. And we see a frontal system extending from the northern portion of North Atlantic all the way down into portions of Puerto Rico and the eastern section of the Dominican Republic. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can make out all of these entities. You can see the clouds associated with the system near the southern coastal areas of the US. We also see the troughs clouds extending from Florida all the way up into the northern portion of North Atlantic. We see the clouds associated with the frontal system extending down to portions of the Dominican Republic. Even although the clouds are definitely fading, the more south we go, we can also see the low level flow of the clouds pushing from east to west, definitely with some moisture within them, all courtesy of the ridges of high pressure to the north, sending those entities that way. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean a bit later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Saturday, March 8, 2025. It was stated that rainfall would have been in the forecast for parts of northeastern Jamaica, and then some rainfall across sections of some central and western parishes. And we know northeastern Jamaica, we're talking about St. Ann, St. Mary, Portland. And central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, like St. Ann, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine. While western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney. And what ended up happening? Although a post was not made throughout the day, we saw some clouds across the eastern end. Didn't bring much into it for rainfall to the northeastern parishes at all. And then by afternoon, even although another post wasn't made either for that, We saw some clouds building on the visible satellite images. Some of these clouds might have had some moisture within them, especially right here across western Portland, northern St. Andrew, sections of southern Trelawney, northern St. Elizabeth, sections of Hanover and Westmoreland might have gotten in some cloud cover, if not some isolated showers. Nothing too significant at all worthy of being posted. Even the infrared close-up satellite imagery confirming that we didn't get in the way of any form of convection. No blues, greens, yellows, oranges, reds. No thunderstorm activity today. Definitely drier than normal. We mentioned this in yesterday's video that the most rainfall should begin by around Tuesday all the way back to Friday. So today wasn't really a rain kind of day, but we did see some blues on the Euro and the GFS models that would allude to the fact that we might have been receiving some isolated showers, but that was not what occurred. Now we definitely have confirmation right here from See Jamaica's YouTube channel showing the halfway tree live cam at around 3:36 p.m. You can see people walking about, going about their business, people in their vehicles going about their business as well. Definitely fair conditions across halfway tree today. And if we take a look at the very latest still image from the Weather Nerds website, let's see what's happening right now. The latest still image is showing 0015 UTC, which is actually 7:15 p.m. So this just came out 12 minutes ago, considering that it's 7:27 p.m. right now. And what do we see? We still make out some clouds across the western and just some partly clouded to overcast skies. We also see some clouds to the east of St. Thomas and Portland, but that's basically it. Maybe some isolated showers are within these clouds. Let's see if we have some confirmation on the Doppler radar imagery. Alright, so we're looking at the Cuban Doppler radar image right here, and we can see some greens right here out to sea to the east of us. Maybe some isolated showers within those clouds that we just saw on the infrared close-up satellite image. Alright, so we just had it reloaded, and the latest images as of 7:20, and we can actually see the greens. They represent moderate, that's some moderate rainfall out to sea. Right, there are just some isolated showers, and even the Guantanamo Bay Cuban naval radar imagery confirming the rainfall between Haiti and Jamaica even better. We see the greens right here out to sea. And if we take a look at the Cayman radar, we can see some isolated showers right here across the waters to the south of the Cayman Islands, and that's basically it. Taking a look at the Crossroads live camera right here from See Jamaica's YouTube channel, can see that it's definitely a fair evening. 7:29 p.m. now, people in their vehicles going about their business, people walking about going about their business. Nothing in the way of bad weather at all. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just visit See Jamaica on YouTube. They have these live streams for your viewing pleasure, and they're planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have in and around the island. So subscribe today so that you don't miss out. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see we have 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and by about 5 a.m. on Sunday, temperature should dip down to about 22 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. Well, that should be 4 a.m. because we're going to be switching to daylight savings time or something of the sort. Either way, we're going to be back on Central US time in Jamaica. So all of what we would be seeing here would be in Eastern Standard Time, so we have to convert it 1 hour earlier for Central Time that we in Jamaica are going to be on. You'll understand it the more we go. Either way, if we take a look at the actual temperature forecast for tomorrow, this map from the GFS is valid for 18:00 on Sunday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Sunday. And we can see Jamaica right here embedded in some orange shades that we know represent up to 2 degrees Celsius above normal temperatures. And we know the normal temperature for the month of March across Jamaica is around 87.3 degrees Fahrenheit. And when that's converted to degrees Celsius, that's around 30.7 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving anywhere from 30.7 to 32.7 degrees Celsius at most for Jamaica's temperature on Sunday. And unfortunately, we have we have at least one maintenance outage advisory here to highlight from my JPS Online's Twitter page. And we know that we have to highlight these because we know that when we have power outages in an area, it can definitely make the heat feel even worse because we don't have our fan or our AC to cool us down. So if you live or work in these areas, or if you have friends or relatives who live or work in these areas, let them know that a power outage is coming their way on Sunday, March 8, 2025. We're referring to Torrington Bridge to Seafort Street in St. Andrew from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And we have some tips right here to beat the heat as usual. It states here, when outside, seek shade. Eat first, try eating cold foods such as salads and fruits. Rest, make sure you get enough sleep and rest if you're feeling tired. Soak, take a cool shower or bath to help you cool down. And I cannot stress enough the importance of staying hydrated throughout the day. Even if you're not thirsty, drink lots of water. And I would suggest that you also put away those sugar drinks and drink water instead. Taking a look at the dry area map, we know that the dry area is represented by what we see here on the key on the bottom. That's the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and the whites within those reds. And we can see the abundance of dry air across the entire Atlantic basin. You know, the dry air is responsible for keeping the atmosphere across the Atlantic stable, making it harder for it to rain, making it harder for us to get storms this time of year. We see an abundance of dry air across section of the Gulf, an abundance of dry air right here across section of the eastern main development region. But we see some yellows in there that represents the low end of the scale in terms of dry air right here. And we know some of these yellows are where we have some of the moisture, some isolated showers for sure. You also see a lot of blues across the eastern Pacific, as well as the area right here, that's the intertropical convergence zone to the southwest of West Africa. That's where the most moist air is located as we speak. But regarding the Saharan dust forecast for 1 p.m., well, this should be 12 p.m. on Sunday. We can see we have some slight shades of brown right here across section of the main development region. And we're glad that we don't see anything across the western hemisphere, North America, the Bahamas, the Caribbean, Northern South America, or Central America. We're glad that we're in the clear. Most of the Saharan dust is way out here, and we don't see a vigorous plume either. We don't see the dark shades of browns that we know represent that strong plume that can cause very hazy skies, not to mention trigger some amount of respiratory illnesses in some persons. So we're indeed grateful that that is the forecast for 12 p.m. on Sunday. Taking a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, this map from the Euro is showing the waves, and we can see the blues into the light shades of blues into the dark shades of blues. That represents anywhere from 0.5 meter wave height all the way up to 1.5 meter wave height, and that's because of what the winds are going to be like. Winds clearly coming in from the east across the eastern Caribbean, more of an east-southeasterly flow across the central to the western Caribbean, whereas Caribbean more of a southeasterly flow in the northwestern Caribbean here, more of a southwesterly flow into the Gulf, the western half of the Gulf more of a northwesterly flow. We see it's going to be up to 10 to 15 knots, maybe even gusting to 20 knots across sections of the Caribbean. But regarding Jamaica's wave forecast, it should be up to at least 0.8 of a meter wave height on the north coast, up to at least 1.1 meter wave height on the south coast, and that's because of the winds that are expected. The winds for tomorrow, 13 knots from the east on the north coast, up to 13 knots from the east on the south coast. And we also see where the air is going to be piling up across inland areas of some eastern, central, and western parishes. That's where we're going to be having the least amount of winds. That's where we could get some of the daytime heating, bringing forth some amount of isolated showers. For sure, that's if we get some moisture tomorrow. And we see the upper level wind still coming in from the west. We'll see it actually plays out either way in terms of the rainfall forecast maps. Both maps here from the Euro and the GFS are showing 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which when calculated, considering that we're moving back to Central Time tomorrow, that's about 4 a.m. on Sunday. So 4 a.m. this is what we're going to be seeing. We see the blues represent some isolated shores to the south of us. We see the blues represent some isolated shores across the eastern end, maybe eastern Portland, eastern St. Thomas. We'll see it actually plays out. Then by around 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 3 p.m. Jamaica time, this is what we're going to be seeing. We see some isolated shores across the western end. We see some isolated shores across inland areas of some central and eastern parishes. The GFS more so is believing what the Euro is showing for western Jamaica, but not necessarily eastern or central areas. Just some light shades of blues right there across northwestern St. Andrew, northeastern St. Catherine. The higher chance for rainfall is going to be across the western end. There's going to be a forecast for morning rainfall across eastern Jamaica, then maybe some afternoon rainfall across the far western end of the island. And we can clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS models, in terms of the accumulated precipitation forecast for the next 24 hours, are showing that it's going to be raining somewhere in Jamaica within the next 24 hours. More so the eastern end and the western end. The eastern end in the morning, the western end in the afternoon. The Euro going all the way up to 0.18 of an inch of rainfall. The GFS going all the way up to at least maybe 0.15 of an inch of rainfall, 0.08 of an inch of rainfall. We'll see it actually plays out. and whatever happens, we'll definitely take it because we're in the month of March. We are in the peak of our dry season. In Kingston, this bar graph is being shown right here at the top. We usually receive up to 10 millimeters of rainfall for the month. In Montego Bay, this bar graph is being shown right here at the bottom. We usually receive up to 2.2 inches of rainfall for the month. And I would like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to find out what your specific parish usually receives for the month of March or for the entire year in terms of rainfall, you can visit weatherandclimate.com and that website to show you that information. And you can use this nice graphic right here that converts rainfall from inches to millimeters. You know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall, so you can do the math yourself. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. Alright, so we can definitely make out the low level flow of the low to mid level clouds being steered from east to west across the Caribbean. We can make out the usual thunderstorm activity across sections of Northern and South America, Suriname, French Guyana, sections of Colombia right there, southern Venezuela. We also can figure out the clouds associated with the possible frontal system across the southern and eastern US, the other clouds associated with other frontal system on the trough to the north of Puerto Rico and northeast of Dominican Republic. And if we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, sure that we're not going to be seeing much over there considering that there's not much moisture. Look at southern and southwestern Puerto Rico getting on some moderate rainfall in the greens. We can also see some isolated hit or miss showers to the east of Antigua and Barbuda and Guadeloupe right there. And if we load these images from earlier today, we can see the rainfall that was taking place across section of southern Puerto Rico, Guadeloupe right there. Taking a look at the Barbados radar, we can see that moisture coming in from the northeast, pushing towards the southwest. Look at all of the moisture right here to the east of Martinique, St. Lucia, and it's pushing towards the southwest towards Martinique and St. Lucia. We also see some moisture pushing towards Barbados as we speak, some moisture pushing towards the Grenadines and Grenada, so too Tobago getting in on some of the action soon, if not already. Maybe Trinidad getting in on some of the action later on. And if we take a look at the weather view of Doppler radar images, we can make out some isolated showers across section of Colombia right there. And regarding where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, this is as dry as it gets. Very dry. Look how dry it is. Look at all of the whites into the grays. That represents the low end of the scale in terms of rainfall. Nothing at all expected for Florida, the Bahamas, Cuba, Hispaniola, much of Central America. The rainfall actually begins right here across section of Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, and Guyana, as well as French Guyana. That's where most of the rainfall is expected, as we can see the oranges into the reds. That represents up to 1 inch of rainfall at most. Suriname could get on some of the action too, and we see the slight greens that represents anywhere from 0.1 all the way up to maybe 0.2 of an inch of rainfall for sections of St. Vincent, St. Lucia, the Grenadines, Barbados, Dominica, section of Puerto Rico, maybe section of Jamaica getting in on the action too, maybe even section of this southern portion of Hispaniola getting in on some of the isolated shores as well. And we can clearly see that both the Euro and the GFS modes are in consensus with this forecast. I know that when they're in consensus like this, the chances of actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.